What's going on, everybody, and welcome to Rock Video Rental. I am Brandon, and with me, as always, is Caleb. Caleb, how's it going?
It is going and things are happening. Is that a good summary?
Yeah, I guess. I mean,
It's
kind of the
still
point now where it's like, I'm still working from home.
it's still
Um,
2020.
it's still 2020, unfortunately, so kind of just rolling along. I guess we got Thanksgiving and Christmas to look forward to, and then finally we can flush this year down the toilet.
Wait, I didn't know that it was Thanksgiving. I thought we skipped it straight to Christmas.
Oh, it's straight to Christmas right on my birthday on November 1st.
Of course.
That's how it goes. Um, so not skipping, but watching. What have you been watching lately?
Not a whole lot. I've been in a state of depression because of sports, so that's lovely.
You're supposed to use things to pull yourself out of the depression.
I know, right? I did get a little bit help by watching a little bit of Family Guy. So there was that. But I I didn't really watch much else, but I do have a little bit of a story to share. If you guys have been following on our social platforms, we've been doing some with apparel for the show. We had hats done a little while ago. We were able to get shirts done and everything. And actually, I was out at a store and guy commented on my shirt and asked me where I got it, and I was able to say that I made it. I printed it. Well, actually, the company that I work for did. But to also kind of correct that, Brandon is actually the one who created the logo. But thank you for complimenting the shirts. And also, if he is tuning in, Jacob, thanks for checking out the show and chatting a little bit. When I talked to him about the podcast, he was pretty interested. But when I brought up Keanu Reeves, he really got stoked. So,
Well, it's a good time to start because this is WHOAvember, the
yes.
Keanu month.
Yep. So plenty of episodes around Keanu Reeves this month. That's for sure.
Yeah.
But Brandon, what's happening with you? What have you been watching?
Um, I've been watching a few things. I started watching The Sopranos on HBO Max. Um, man, show's been around for a while now. Like the first season was in 1999. Uh, it's been done for a while, but I have an HBO Max, and I was trying to think of what to watch, and it's like, I'm gonna give this a shot because I've heard like nothing but good things about the show, and a lot of people saying, it's one of the best written shows of all time, and yeah, I'm enjoying it. I'm in probably about halfway through the second season. Every episode's about an hour long, so it takes a little while. But yeah, I mean, if you like mafia stuff like Goodfellas or Casino or anything like that, you'd like it. Even some Breaking Bad, it reminds me of too. Uh, yeah, really entertaining show. Great acting for sure. Other than that, also on HBO Max, I've been watching Young Sheldon, the
Nice.
spinoff from Big Bang Theory, where it kind of just shows the character Sheldon's life as a kid growing up in Texas. And I don't know, it's not like super funny or anything, but it's a good just kind of background noise show to have on.
Mm-hmm.
Every once in a while, I catch something and it makes me chuckle, or they got like a funny reference, or like a funny cameo from someone. Uh, like Jason Alexander, George from Seinfeld has a recurring character in the series, so it's fun to see him do other things. Uh, yeah, I mean, I guess a lot of what I watch too is on YouTube, and I discovered this channel uh, yesterday. It's called The Wolf Pit,
Okay.
where like this guy, he has a series of videos called "What Are We Eating," where he basically goes and buys a bunch of like frozen dinner stuff and things from the dollar store and reviews them. It's been pretty good. I've watched probably about 10 of those today. They're right around like 10 minutes long. Uh, he reviewed the infamous $1 sirloin steak that you can get at Dollar Tree.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and it just some of the ways he describes things are kind of funny. But if you like just stupid YouTube channels, check it out. He's got a lot of content. But other than that, not a lot. I guess, I watched the movie that we're going to be talking about.
Rock.
But first, we can get into Did You Know? So, did you know the weekly mini topic mini segment where we give random facts to blow people's minds? So, Caleb, it is your turn. What do you got?
All right. Well, I feel like I had to do a little bit of a tribute to the one, the only Alex Trebek, as he passed away on the 8th,
Rock?
and the, you know, great host of Jeopardy. He passed away at the age of 80. And so I decided to pull some things, a little bit more than one thing for the Did You Know this week about Alex Trebek. So, did you know that he was not the original host of Jeopardy?
Yeah, I did know that, but I don't remember who the original host was.
Jeopardy originally was debuted way back in the 60s with Art Fleming,
Okay.
and it went until 1975. So Jeopardy as we know it didn't start until 1984 with Trebek, who hosted it for the next 36 years. So,
Rock.
next one I got is he holds a Guinness World Record. In 2014, they announced that Trebek held the world record for the most episodes of a game show hosted by the same presenter. That was at that time 6,829 episodes.
Wow.
Before his death, he wound up finishing more than 8,200 episodes.
That's crazy. Is he, man, second place has to be Bob Barker, right?
I would think so. They don't
Or
have
Pat
it.
Sajak, maybe.
Um,
One of those
now,
two.
um, then the last thing I have, and there's actually a video now that's basically kind of gone viral online with Alex Trebek. And did you know that Alex Trebek swore like a sailor?
No, I did not know that.
Yes, that was very surprising. I tagged you in it, so if you haven't been on there, you'll be able to easily find it later. But yeah, there's a video of him recording some video promos for Jeopardy. And yeah, if you don't know it's coming, it's going to come out of left field and smack you right up across the face.
Oh gosh. Um, so it's funny that when you mentioned the record and I said Bob Barker, well, Bob Barker previously held the record, and then Alex Trebek has predicted before he passed away that Pat Sajak is on track to break his record.
Oh, yeah.
So the three that I thought of.
There you go. There you go. So, yep. So, a little bit did you know with Alex Trebek, an icon, unfortunate about his passing, and, Jeopardy. I don't know if they've announced, I can't remember if they announced a plan yet on what's happening moving forward, but yeah, that show's not going to quite be the same. So,
No, maybe they'll get Will Ferrell to do an Alex Trebek impression.
oh my
That was
gosh,
the
for the first one, that would be hilarious.
and a tribute to Sean Connery as well. I find it kind of crazy that Sean Connery passed away and then Alex Trebek
Yeah.
and
Well, it's
Celebrity Jeopardy thing on SNL was always like was always so good when Daryl Hammond was, you know,
Oh yeah.
Sean Connery.
Yeah. Well, they actually kind of did a little bit of a joke like that because they just said what heaven's like right now, and they show him playing Sean Connery, and it says, "We meet again, Trebek."
Oh gosh.
You gotta love the internet. So that's your did you know for this week.
Yeah. So now we can move into the main topic.
Hey everyone, this is Kale with Rock Video Rental, and we just want to tell you a little bit more about hosting a podcast on Anchor. It works great for us. We actually have 2 podcasts on this platform. It's free and easy to use. Anchor helps distribute your podcast for you on other popular platforms. Their creation tools are easy to use, and you don't need a fancy computer. You can do it from your phone. And an added bonus too, it's easy to make money. Even if you have a small listenership or a big one, there's a way that you can still make money from it. So learn more and check it out by downloading the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm today to get started.
We are the ex-president.
Total commitment. It's a real thin line between life and death.
I'm not a crook.
It's not tragic to die doing what you love. If you want the ultimate, you gotta be willing to pay the ultimate price.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, and please don't forget to vote.
You want to nail the bank robbers and be a big hero? Definitely. The ex-presidents are surfers.
You're trying to tell me the FBI is going to pay me to learn to surf?
Fear causes hesitation. Hesitation will cause your worst fears to come true.
You'll take it to the edge. Past it.
This is gonna be a great day, Johnny.
I think taxpayers would like it, Utah, if they knew that they were paying a federal agent to surf and pick up girls.
Babes.
Big one.
The correct term is babes, sir.
Adios, amigos. 100% pure adrenaline. Neither one of you have anything even remotely interesting to tell me.
Caught my first tube this morning, sir.
So the main topic of the week is the 1991 action movie Point Break. It's directed by Catherine Bigelow, and the plot is an FBI agent goes undercover to catch a gang of surfers who may be bank robbers.
Oh my
the
gosh, I
cast-
started laughing as soon as you said an FBI.
I am an FBI agent. Spoiler alert. The cast has Keanu Reeves in it as Johnny Utah. Another one of our favorites, Patrick Swayze as Bodie. Gary Busey as Pappas. Lori Petty as Tyler. And John C. McGinley as Ben Harp. Yeah, this is the first time I've seen all this movie because I've seen lots of bits and pieces of it.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew what. See, I always thought this movie was one of those. The idea is so corny that the movie's great, kind of like Speed,
Okay.
which is another Keanu movie. But I guess I didn't realize how highly rated this movie is. And I mean, we'll get into that at the end, but and like how like competent of a movie it is. Like it's shot extremely well.
Yeah, that was one thing. I was looking at something, or maybe it was when I was watching on HBO Max. I saw some kind of a review or something about it somewhere, and they're just like, "Man, this is just shot so well," and then the surfing was filmed so well, and and then I read this before I watched it again, and I was just like, "Dude, I forgot enough about this movie that I was impressed by this movie with how well, like top to bottom, it was done. Now, of course, there were some things better than others, but I did not remember how good of a movie this is.
Yeah, I was a little surprised by it as well. I mean, there's still some things about it that make it a product of its time, but it's funny too that I say that because this was made in 1991, and I thought for sure that it felt like a late 90s movie.
Mm,
So maybe, it had some impact on movies of the same genre kind of later on.
yeah.
I thought this was like a 1997, 98 movie. Um, because this seems like something that, Michael Bay would have took inspiration from for and, exploited and added all the stupid explosions and, the dumb camera stuff that he likes to do in his movies. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I guess I was like, wow, this is from 1991. And then, like, when Keanu showed up, I'm like, oh, yeah, I mean, he looks pretty young.
Yeah.
Because, Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey, I think, was in 1990.
Oh, wow.
So,
Yeah.
he was kind of a smaller name at the time. So this was kind of a big deal for him
Mm-hmm.
to kind of step out of that uh, goofy airhead character that, he played as Ted. And
Yeah.
even, an earlier role that he played opposite of, smaller role that he had played opposite of Patrick Swayze in Youngblood, where
Mm-hmm.
he's also kind of just an idiot. A
Dude,
little more understated than he was as Ted, but yeah, still kind of an idiot.
the thing that shocked me that I forgot who was in this movie was Gary Busey.
Yeah.
I was just like, how could I have forgotten that? So there was a decent chunk of this that I kind of, forgot was actually part because I remembered it. Like I saw him and it's like, oh yeah, I remember this, but I must have been associating his role and part in all this with a different, cop movie or something.
Yeah. And you kind of forget now, looking back, how good of an actor Gary Busey was.
Yeah. But well, to a certain point before, he went crazy.
Yeah, because he's he's nuts now.
Actually, I shouldn't say even before he went crazy, before he went super crazy, because he's always crazy.
Oh yeah, I mean he's always plays that unhinged character pretty well, which he's pretty unhinged in this one too. Kind of wacky guy. Basically, so the story of it is, Keanu's this new up and coming agent, and they pair him with Gary Busey's character Pappas because he's kind of like the seasoned vet. They want him to like they see a future with uh, Keanu Reeves' character Johnny Utah, which is a ridiculous name.
Oh my gosh, so ridiculous. I when I forgot and then they said his name, I was like, wow.
Yeah, that's kind of how I was too, and it made me laugh too. And we talked about this because uh, this is the first of two movies that I know of where Keanu Reeves plays a former Ohio State quarterback. And I texted you, I'm like, why does he always have to be like an Ohio State quarterback? And you're like, oh my God, I thought the same thing. And then I said, well, I guess maybe that gives him a logical reason why he's not playing in the NFL. uh, but yeah, so he he's working with Gary Busey, and Gary Busey's supposed to be like grooming him to be, you know, a better agent. Basically, he's there to like be his partner, kind of work under him and learn. Uh, so, from what I took from it, is Gary Busey is kind of just picking his own cases. Was he
uh,
even given like this case, or is it something he's just been working on for a while and it's kind of on the back burner?
I felt like it was more something kind of on the back burner. Like in some cop shows, they're like, it's that one cold case that they just can't let go of.
Yeah,
So,
the one kind of just eating at him. Uh, so he gets the idea of making uh, Keanu's character go undercover as a surfer because he believes that this group of bank robbers known as the ex-presidents, because they wear like these, a Reagan mask, a Jimmy Carter mask, and so on. He believes that they're all surfers, and they're using the money to like fund their, trip around the world to surf different places. So then Keanu meets like a woman named Tyler, and he gets her to like teach him how to surf, and that's how he kind of gets his in with a group of local surfers, kind of led by Patrick Swayze's character Bodie.
Bodie. That's an interesting name. I totally forgot that was his name in this movie.
Yeah, and it's not even just like a made up name because there was the Olympic skier Bodie Miller.
Um,
I think he might have the most gold medals of any U.S. Olympic skier,
nice. Rock.
something like that. I just remember them saying something about that at the last Winter Olympics. Uh, yeah, I mean, from there he kind of just uh, hangs around with those guys, finds different suspects, um, and then through the whole process, he finds out that Bodie and his friends are actually the ex-presidents.
Yeah, he finds out because one of the guys shows his butt.
Yep.
And he's like, I've seen that butt before.
I've seen that.
We know too much.
And then, that and that at that time, Bodie knows that he knows, and we get some kind of like interesting interactions, and Bodie basically traps Johnny Utah into like robbing a bank with them because he's got Tyler at a location tied up, and he's got a friend that's gonna kill her if he doesn't basically do what he says. And it all leads into the big climax. And yeah, I guess some of the stuff I really didn't see coming.
Yeah.
And it was kind of interesting how it was handled, and the writing was pretty good for the story. I thought, I expected this just to be, your stupid cliche, um, almost like B movie story,
Mm.
just with bigger name actors.
No, they did. Yeah, they did a pretty good job with that. I mean, the element that helped carry through the whole thing was the fact that there was the surfing element, and then Bodie and his friends were those extremists, always looking for the next, like, essentially high
Yeah,
on
like
life.
adrenaline junkies. Yeah.
Yeah, and so they were able to carry that through. I mean, they were surfing, they were playing football at the beach. They wound up getting in a fight with other surfers, and then they did nighttime surfing. They did.
Skydiving.
I thought there was something else, but yeah, then there was skydiving. So yeah, so there was really always something going on. So
Yeah, and I guess watching this movie too, I guess I come to realize that Keanu, it took him a little while to be like a really solid actor. He
yeah,
saw, because I mean, the Bill and Ted movies, as fun as they are, they are what they are, I guess. Like they're not movies set up for good acting. They're just goofy comedies where he's basically playing himself at the time.
yeah.
Maybe himself turned up to 11, but uh, and it took maybe just a little while for him to really find his groove and prove that he was a good actor. And you can see flashes of it in this movie.
Mhm.
He's got some kind of clunky deliveries, like I mentioned. I am an FBI agent. Really made me laugh. And then there's other times where Keanu emotes really well, and he's just even now he's just a likable guy.
Mhm.
Anything you see him in, it's hard to see him as like anything more than a likable guy.
Yeah.
He's got kind of that, like, maybe like a little rougher version of Tom Hanks, where it's
Yeah.
kind of hard to see Keanu as a bad guy.
Yeah. And that's the thing, too, that I don't think I've ever really seen him do is play the bad guy.
And for me, it was a little tough to see Patrick Swayze as the bad guy.
Oh, I know. Well, that's one thing that I wanted to get to eventually is he did such an amazing job, dude.
Yeah, for sure. As being kind of like, I guess he's kind of an anti-hero to begin
Hmm.
with. And then it gets to the point, towards the end where you kind of see more of his ruthless side.
Yeah.
And it really made me realize, like, maybe I underrated Patrick Swayze in his career, because he had a lot of good movies in the 80s and early 90s, and then his career kind of just fizzled out a little bit in the late 90s and early 2000s, I guess.
Yeah.
And then, towards the end of his life, like didn't really do too much. I mean, he was in Donnie Darko and he did a great job in that. But, 2000s, late 90s into the 2000s, like Patrick Swayze wasn't really doing much. And I'm not really sure why. I don't know if that was like a choice of his.
Yeah. I'm not sure either, but I found it interesting too, because honestly, like I went in thinking of him kind of like Roadhouse attitude, or what is it, Black Dog or something that he did.
Yeah, with
Uh,
Randy Travis.
yeah. And so those were kind of the things I was thinking about how his personality was going to be on this one. But yeah, I mean, he was vastly different. And you were talking about oh, not how evil he was, but his darker side came
Yeah,
out later in the movie.
ruthlessness.
Yeah,
Yeah.
ruthlessness. Because he, and I would compare it to, I mean, he essentially kind of was acting like Batman, because he's just like, I have rules and I don't break rules. I don't like violence, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But he was doing all these things to kind of push the limit. And then at the end, it's just like, dude, how far is he going to go? And he had some kind of I mean, they developed it really well, the relationship between his character Bodhi and Keanu Reeves' character Johnny Utah,
Hmm.
because Johnny Utah was similar to Bodhi in really going for those extreme adrenaline rush and things like that. So he kind of liked him more than most people. Bodhi did.
Hmm.
And so it was really interesting when all these things happen, and you would think, okay, Bodhi's going to kill him or do something, but he never did.
Yeah.
And so just the dynamic, and then what it caused to happen, and how Keanu Reeves' character reacted to it. I mean, I just so good at what they build up to. And I mean, really the whole thing. Yeah, are there going to be their slower moments? Yeah, every movie is going to have that, but this just kept moving along.
Yeah. I'd agree.
So,
Um, yeah. Like we mentioned Gary Busey, like he was great in this movie, and I was actually sad when he got shot
me too.
towards the end. I was like, no. And it's kind of funny to look back at his career because he had a lot of good movies in the '80s. One that sticks out to me is Silver Bullet. I don't know if you ever saw that. It's got him and Corey Haim in it.
I'm not
It's a
sure.
werewolf movie
Oh,
where he
nope,
plays
nope.
like Corey Haim is like a paraplegic, and Gary Busey plays his uncle, but he does a really good job in that. And a guy who's kind of good is like an edgy kind of. You mentioned him as a cop in a few things. In a few things where he's kind of that cop that's seasoned and doesn't play exactly by the rules, but gets results, kind of thing.
Hmm.
Um, I feel like he's good at that, but he's also good at playing like a sadistic evil guy.
Oh yeah.
or like a henchman or something like that. You know, like Lethal Weapon 2 makes me think of that.
Yep.
Or I'm sorry, the original Lethal Weapon. He was in that. Um, did a great job in that as well. And it's just kind of funny, like to see, the quality of his acting like drastically change. Even in something like, he was Chet Stedman in Rookie of the Year, and he was good in that as well. But to the point now where he's just insane, and he's doing movies like Ginger Dead Man and all the sequels that came along with that. Just like, man, what happened to Gary Busey?
Yeah.
And his son was never really able to find his footing in movies either. I mean, he still does some stuff here and there, but Jake Busey.
Okay.
Uh,
I'm not sure what I've seen with him, so
oh gosh, I'm trying to think of all the stuff he was in. Um, I remember he had this show on UPN back in the day called Shasta McNasty.
what?
Yeah, and that was terrible. Uh,
That sounds terrible.
oh, dude, it's awful. Um, he was in Twister. He had a small role in Twister. He was in Starship Troopers, Enemy of the State. I mentioned Shasta McNasty. He was in Roadhouse too.
Oh yeah, that sounds like that was amazing.
Oh yeah. Um, Speaking of movies that haven't should have been made, I guess. Uh, and speaking of Roadhouse, Patrick Swayze, you saw some of his Roadhouse karate in this movie too, when he's fighting off those thug surfers that were trying to beat up Johnny Utah.
Yeah.
It made me feel like I was watching Roadhouse, and anytime I watch a movie and it makes me feel like I'm watching Roadhouse, I'm good with it. Which I'm shocked that's hasn't been a movie that we've reviewed yet.
Yeah, that's a good point. Maybe we'll have to do a Patrick Swayze month because then we could totally do Red Dawn.
Yeah, that's true. Patrick Swayze. But another character that stuck out in this is Ben Harp to me,
Okay.
played by John C. McGinley.
Uh-huh.
And dude, was this like the precursor to Dr. Cox? Or what?
I guess.
Yeah, if you don't know, John C. McGinley was Dr. Cox in Scrubs. Um, Pretty much the same character.
Well,
Talk a mile a
extreme.
minute. Like the extreme version of Dr.
Yeah.
Cox. Funny, but not like necessarily meaning to be funny, and just really matter of fact and just sarcastic,
Mm-hmm.
and like at the same time kind of a dick.
Totally. Totally.
As soon as he popped up, I was like, "All right, Dr. Cox," and then because that's always what I call him, and just as he's talking, like I'm just laughing. I'm like, "Oh my gosh, it's like pretty much is Dr. Cox, and this predates it."
Mm-hmm. I wonder if that came into play, like you were saying, if that came into play and, choosing him or developing his character for Scrubs.
Could have been. I mean, Scrubs came along in 2001. I guess, maybe when they were casting. I haven't seen too many of his movies, so maybe other movies he plays kind of the same character. But maybe that came in the casting where, like, we want this. They could have even wrote the character of Dr. Cox with him in mind, because that happens sometimes too.
Yeah.
But, um, I guess, is there any other things that kind of stood out to you? I mean, we didn't really give much of a rundown of scenes, but just kind of discuss the movie as a whole.
Well, no, yeah. Like I said, this movie just impressed me because I've seen it before. I know I've seen it at least once. I think I may have seen it multiple times, but I've then also seen different parts of it. The end a lot I've caught on TV, but watching it again from beginning to end was just fantastic. It's one of those movies where you're entertained like the whole time, and I forgot about the development of him tracking down Bodhi and his group, because I thought they got jumped on them really quickly. I forgot about that other group that they tried arresting for it.
Yeah, the guys that jumped him.
Yeah, and so that whole thing kind of, added more to the movie for me. But yeah, it was great performances. Some specific things were not executed great. But yeah, I mean, especially for being, like you said, it felt like a late 90s movie, but it was 91.
Hmm.
It kind of was, and you may have said this specifically, so I don't want to take it away from you, but it kind of maybe was ahead of its time a little bit.
Yeah, I could see that.
So I had a really good time watching it again. So
Yeah, I had a decent time watching it as well. Um, I don't know why I said decent. I had a good time watching it. My only beef with it is that it was kind of long.
yeah,
I
I
mean,
agree.
I'm with an action kind of like thriller movie. I'm good with an hour and a half. That's like the perfect amount of time for an action movie. Well, this movie goes on for 2 hours and 2 minutes.
Hmm.
Um, I feel like some of the stuff they could have cut back on some of the scenery. Uh, as cool as the skydiving scene was, I feel like
Yeah,
some of that could have been cut back.
yeah. All of it could have been cut back a little bit. Like surfing was drawn out a little bit, a couple times, and the skydiving for sure was drawn out. Um, and there was something else. I can't remember what, but there was something else that they spent a decent amount of time with, and I was just like, okay, we get the point.
Yeah, it's like, okay, guys, let's wrap it up.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I guess I got a fair amount of trivia on this that I can get into.
Nice.
Yeah, because we already kind of touched on the acting and how it's pretty solid all around. Um, Keanu's a little shaky at moments, but you can see that he has potential, to grow into the kind of the actor he is now. Um, so my first thing of trivia here that I just got done talking about the skydiving scene. So Patrick Swayze was actually an accomplished skydiver, and he took a part in the big diving scene. Like he actually did skydiving for that scene.
Nice.
And if you notice, there's a difference. You can see Patrick Swayze um, actually skydiving, and then when they go to Keanu, it's like a close up of his face.
Hmm.
So,
I feel like now Keanu would have learned how to do that.
oh yeah, probably. Um, so for many of the surfing scenes, Patrick Swayze refused to use a stunt double. Um, and he said, because he never had a stunt double for his fighting scenes or the car chases. So
Okay.
he didn't see a point in having a stunt double for the surfing scenes either. Um, I think that's always kind of cool when guys do their own stunts.
Yeah.
Uh, kind of respect him a lot for doing that kind of stuff. Uh, so, he talked a little bit about Keanu's dedication there with, you said now he'd probably do his own skydiving. Um, he actually observed real FBI agents in Los Angeles to study for the role. And he
Hmm.
also practiced with UCLA quarterback coaches to help with the football scene on the
Oh, really?
beach. Yeah. Which is
That's
funny
fun.
because that scene is what, maybe like 2 minutes?
Yeah. And honestly, when I watched it, I was just kind of like, his throwing's a little awkward.
A little bit, but so is Philip Rivers, and he's in the NFL.
True.
So, according to Gary Busey, Patrick Swayze was so nuts about skydiving that he actually badgered him until he gave in and agreed to go with him after filming the movie.
Oh my gosh, that's funny.
So you just gotta picture Patrick Swayze just talking about skydiving nonstop, and then
Hmm.
Gary Busey just flying off the handle. Fine, if you shut up about it, I'll go with you.
It's funny and interesting because if you take away the crazy element and the criminal aspect and whatnot, I kind of felt like that could have really been close to Patrick Swayze's personality.
Yeah. Yeah, he actually said too in an interview that a lot of the reason he decided to take the role is because he felt that the character Bodhi was really close to his personality.
Mm,
And it's kind of funny that you read into that because I read that somewhere
nice.
that, just even their outlook towards life and, kind of some of the stuff that they were into and everything, it just fit him perfectly.
Yeah, I feel like his persona is more like Roadhouse or something like that, like maybe a little bit more reserved, but yeah, that whole like out there experience life kind of thing, I could totally have seen Patrick Swayze be like that.
Yeah. So we talked about the beach football scene. So that spot on the beach where the football game was played um, was actually the same spot used for the soccer game in The Karate Kid.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I thought you were going to
Which,
say it was the volleyball scene for Top Gun.
oh my gosh, imagine if it was like all three of those. It'd be the trifecta.
That would be amazing.
Oh man. The last one I got is the director Catherine Bigelow fought to have Keanu Reeves cast as Johnny Utah. She was insisting that she wouldn't film the movie without him, and the studio and producers were interested in getting a higher profile actors at the time, like Johnny Depp.
That could have worked.
Yeah, I can kind of see Johnny Depp doing that, especially back in the early '90s. Now he kind of went through that phase where every character he played was just Jack Sparrow.
Yeah. So true.
But yeah, it's kind of funny how much Catherine Bigelow put her neck out for Keanu Reeves.
Yeah, that's interesting. I really kind of thought that maybe there was going to be a tie between him and Swayze for the reason why he got into this movie, but she was really high on him apparently.
Yeah, some of the other people that were considered were Matthew Broderick, Val Kilmer, and Charlie Sheen.
Oh, geez.
So, I mean, all those are kind of interesting too, because I mean, this is kind of before Charlie Sheen went nuts, and he was a great actor back in the day. Val Kilmer was pretty decent. Matthew Broderick was an interesting one to me.
Yeah.
I don't really see him as like an FBI agent.
No.
Uh, the other guys, I can see them doing it, but yeah, I think Keanu was the best choice though.
Yeah.
Um, I guess I always give like the budget in the box office, so I'll give it for this. The budget for it was 24 million, and it made 83.5.
Yeah, that's pretty solid.
Yeah. So we can get into grades. Um, so there is a critic and an audience score from Rotten Tomatoes. What do you think those are?
All right. Critic, audience score, Rotten Tomatoes. Rotten Tomatoes critics always hate everybody, so I'm gonna go with 53%.
It is a 70.
Wow, really? Dang it,
Yeah.
man.
And then the audience, what do you got for that one?
Let's go 64.
79.
Wow.
Yeah. And then the last one is IMDb. What do you think that is?
Apparently everybody was nice and happy with Keanu Reeves and Patrick Swayze. IMDb, let's go 6.7.
7.3.
Wow.
Yeah, so I said I thought originally this movie was kind of one of those campy, so much a 90s movie that it's good.
Mm-hmm.
And I was really surprised at the quality of it. Then I was really surprised when I looked up on IMDb for the score of it. I was not expecting this to get over a 7.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, man, people must have really liked this movie. I mean, they did do a remake of it, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. I've not seen the remake, and I can't remember who was in the remake.
I will look it up right now. the remake had uh, Edgar Ramirez was Bodie, and Luke Bracey was Johnny Utah.
Ew.
I have no idea who they are.
Yeah. They didn't even keep Tyler's name in the movie. What the poopsicle? Oh,
S-
what's this?
Samsara Deeds was the character's name that they changed it to.
Why? It was
It
weird.
cost that one cost 105 million and only made 133.
Ouch.
I remember when that came out and everybody was like, "Why?"
Yeah.
That was around the same time that they remade Total Recall as well. And that was another why. That movie is good enough. You don't need a remake of it. And RoboCop.
Oh
Although
gosh.
the RoboCop remake wasn't that bad. I
Yeah.
saw that.
I think I saw that one. I can't remember.
But we can get into our grades. What do you got for it?
Man, I was back and forth, and so I always have to bring this up every time we do grades, just give context. I do it from an aspect of 5 is a movie that I think anybody could watch and enjoy. This is pretty darn close, I think, where most people I feel like could watch this and really enjoy. And as we said, it's entertaining all throughout. It is a longer movie. I am probably going to go ahead and put it at a 4.5.
Oh man, that's the highest rating you've had in a while.
Yeah, it has been. So, I mean, we went through so many with Friday the 13th, but yeah.
Oh yeah. Um, no, but didn't you? I think you rated Halloween either a 4 or 4.5, didn't you?
I think it was a 4.
Okay. Yeah. Um, like I said, I was surprised by the quality of this movie, but the 2 hour runtime was a little too much for me. And some of
Oh
the
my
scenes are a
gosh, just
little
go get
drawn
some
out.
extra snacks.
Some of the scenes are a little drawn out, but I enjoyed it. I guess if I would have seen this a little while ago, like before I've seen more movies, the story might not have seemed as cliche to me. And I mean, maybe by like 1991 when it came out, it was more groundbreaking
Mm-hmm.
and something you didn't see coming. But the whole time, like I knew that Patrick Swayze's character and his friends were the ones doing the robbing. And I guess maybe even if you thought that, you want to see um, Johnny Utah figure it out and Gary Busey.
Mm-hmm.
But there's times where it's like, okay, when is he gonna find out? When is he gonna find out? All right, But at the same time, like I enjoyed it, and like you said, there's enough action scenes to keep it interesting.
Yeah.
Um, shave a little bit off the time, and it'd be a little bit higher for me. But I give it a 3.5. I enjoyed it.
You jerk.
Like I said, shave a little bit of the time off. Maybe it would have been a 4 for me.
Okay.
But yeah, I enjoyed it, and I like Patrick Swayze. I like Keanu Reeves, and it's nice seeing Gary Busey in an older role, I guess.
Yeah, I was close to going. I was between a 4 and a 4.5 because there were some of those things. I mean, as you pointed out, of course the time was kind of a little bit of a factor, but for me, a little bit of the acting execution, I was like, meh, but it wasn't. I mean, we've seen some stuff, especially having gone through the whole Friday 13th series on poor acting, and so while Keanu Reeves may have botched a couple lines, it was nothing compared to the bad acting we saw in other movies. So,
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, like you said, some of the lines were kind of a little rough. His delivery was a little rough in some of them, but definitely didn't do a bad job. He did a pretty good job, and I mean, really, after this, he kind of took off a little bit in the early '90s. Had kind of a break there in the mid '90s, but once like the late '90s, early 2000s came around, that's kind of when his career really like went crazy.
mm-hmm.
Um, and yeah, I mean, I enjoyed it, like I said. and I'll probably watch it again.
Yeah, I
But
for sure will
now,
be watching it again.
because I am an FBI agent. Oh gosh, with that we can get to our final segment, which is suggestions.
Thank you!
Yeah. Suggestions. Since I am hosting, it is my turn. And I tried to, before we started recording this, I didn't have anything
Oh my
because I
gosh.
forgot to put something in there. And I was like, I'm going to think, this is an action movie. I'm going to think of another action movie. And I was like, you know what? I could go with Keanu Reeves, but I think I'd go with something different, maybe around the same time as this movie. And for some reason, the first movie that popped in my head was the 1990 movie Hard to Kill with Steven Seagal.
Okay.
And oh gosh, Steven Seagal back in the early 90s, his movies were pretty decent. Now he just makes like direct to video garbage. And now he's like fat and doesn't try. But back then he wasn't a horrible actor. He wasn't great by any means, but um he was always kind of charismatic, I guess, and intriguing. And this one I think is probably his best movie. Basically, he's a cop. He's left for dead by this gang, like the mafia, I believe, and they like kill his wife. Uh, and like they don't know that he's still alive. He makes a recovery, and then he kind of just goes for vengeance and like hunts him down. Uh, Pretty simple plot, but like I said, I feel like it's one of his best movies. Uh, Not really much to compete with in his other movies. I guess another one of my favorites of his is Fire Down Below. But if you've never seen Hard to Kill, it's definitely one to check out if you want a just simple action movie from the early '90s where you can just have it on, enjoy some over the top stuff, and eat some popcorn and have some entertainment.
Oh yeah, he's always got some entertainment factors at least. So
And if you want to see early '90s Kelly LeBrock, she's also in that. She was also his wife. I'm not sure why she married him. She was definitely the settler in that group, in that couple. Was that How I Met Your Mother? The one's a reacher and the other one's a settler.
yes, yeah, that was a conversation they had.
Yeah, Seagal was definitely the reacher in that one. But yeah, if you've never seen Hard to Kill, check that one out. Next week we'll be continuing on with WHOAvember, with a Keanu Reeves actors highlight. Those are usually pretty fun. We get some kind of cool information about the actor and talk about their movies and ones of theirs that we've seen and ones we enjoy. Until then, be kind, rewind.
Little Hen says it's time to rock and roll.